This is Maxine. She's looking forward to graduating very soon. She cannot wait! Well, she thought she had everything crossed off her senior checklist. She streaked the quad, she stole a brick, but there was one very important thing missing. But don't worry, we're going to walk you through the simple steps of what she needs to do in order to graduate. Completing the graduation application is not a difficult process, but there are definitely important steps that you don't want to overlook. At the first meeting with your advisee, make sure that they bring in their list of academic requirements with each section expanded. The next form important for your student to bring is their major program checklist. This will help each of you be able to ensure that they as a student are on the right track to graduate, no matter what their specific communications concentration is. Also, ask them to download and print off a current copy of their unofficial transcript, as well as the degree application form available from the Registrar's Office website. Taking these steps will ensure a faster graduation application process for both you and your advisee. With your help, your advisees are now going to be one step closer to their graduation day.
So this is the graduation application that the student fills out themselves. They put their kind of basic information up here, name, address, ID number, etc. And then you list your major and the concentrations on there. And then they list all the courses that they need for the major side and the minor or second majors on this side. Again, no gen eds, we don't want to see any gen eds. If it's an elective, you can just write major elective or 400 level elective. That's fine, and we'll be able to pick up on that. It makes processing a little easier when you leave it open-ended like that. And then there are signatures down here that we do verify against a signature book, so it's really important to get those signatures.
Well, the two issues that I often find myself fixing the most or being the most concerned about are 394, which is the assessment class that everyone has to take, which essentially just involves registering for it and then going to the Ashby Computer Lab at the right time and taking the test that you have to take. And then the other one is just the number of hours. It's not uncommon to see people write around 120 hours, and no matter what else happens with major, minor, general education, degree requirements, you have to have 120 hours. It's very easy if you take 15 hours a semester and just slip up here or there to all of a sudden find yourself a little bit behind. So those are two things that sometimes pop up unexpectedly at the very end.
So one of the challenges for the credit count is some people are very smart, take just the courses they need, they have a very lean curriculum, and on the unofficial transcript there are 2 columns of numbers and they're not labeled very well. And so it's earned credits and credits attempted. And if a student is doing a repeat forgive in particular, and they're currently enrolled in the second time in taking that class, they may accidentally be adding the credits they're currently in and think they're going to be at 120, but you only get to count a repeat forgive course one time for credit. So that needs to be more clearly articulated to students.
I think the biggest problem is timeliness. I think it's really important for people to see their advisors on a regular basis, and then in particular well before the graduation application is due in the fall. So within the first couple of weeks of the semester, sit down with your advisor, make sure everything is okay for the fall, and start talking about spring, because even though the spring schedule is not officially out yet, of course, and you can't see it, we do have a list that's on the website and that the advisors all have with courses that are offered by semester. So I think it's really important to start the process early and to ask lots of questions, to expect it to take a little while, and to devote some time to it.
One of the things that I always try to do is have juniors come in, and so we sort of fill out a grid and I mark off, okay, you have 3 semesters left if you're coming in the fall of your junior year. And seeing that laid out is really satisfying to them, particularly if they're kind of type A, to see just how much or how little they have left to go. And then the other part is just talking about what's next after this, whether that's grad school or a real job.
But in general, if you see something on this senior evaluation form that's not quite right, you would contact my office, you would contact my supervisor or I. We have an email inbox that we share, and kind of that's our general sounding booth for any questions, any concerns, checking in, things like that.
It depends on the nature of the problem. If a general education problem, I'll usually talk to Gretchen Hazard, who's the Cluster 1 coordinator and is a faculty member in our department. If it's an issue of credits in the major, I'll usually talk to either Tony Whitfield or Sharon Mazzarella, both of whom have extensive experience, much more than I do at this point, looking at the degree applications and figuring out what works and what doesn't, and how to try to get students out of here on time as best we possibly can and still have them meet all the requirements they need to meet. It's a great feeling to know that students are going to graduate if everything goes well. It feels like we're really doing something right, and when I've had the privilege of having somebody in class, it's particularly fun to see that student's graduation application and think, okay, so this is what else the student has been up to, and everything looks great.
Oh, I think it's just seeing students who've matured, especially if they've come in regularly as advisees. It's nice to remember when they were the first year students and terrified if they were going to get through the 240, 241 class. Am I going to pass? Am I going to become a major? To where they are now, thinking about their next steps and in their senior capstone classes and doing great engaged projects in the community. It's just nice to see that growth. You know, it's kind of like watching your kids grow up.
Thanks to Maxine's advisor, now she can check off the last item on her bucket list. She is so excited that she can now call herself a JMU graduate.